Hello, Internet, and welcome to my review for My Hero Academia episode 61, or one of the best fucking episodes this series has ever given us. Before we get into that, a recap for last week. We found out that Todoroki and Bakugo both failed the provisional license exams. They went home. Bakugo and Todoroki were kind of upset about it. Todoroki understood what he'd done wrong. Bakugo raged his way through life. All for One and All Might had a really not all that productive, we got to admit, conversation about the state of Hero Society that we all kind of had already been explained to us several times over by that point. And then Bakugo called out Deku for a conversation about his quirk at the training ground where they first fought back in Season 1. And that's where we leave off. Because Bakugo then reveals that he knows that Deku's quirk was inherited from All Might, and he wants to fight him. And that's where we leave off. And before we start discussing the episode proper, I'd like to remind everyone once again, my straw poll for next season's anime reviews is in the description. That's how I pick what series I review. I picked up My Academia because it's destined for greatness, or destined for not greatness. It already isn't greatness. It's destined for Shonen Classic status. And B, because people voted for it down below. So if you want to make your voice heard and help decide what shows I will be reviewing come October, go down below and vote. So anyway, on to the episode proper. As before Bakugo and Deku start their fight proper, Bakugo yells at Deku. I won't use the term wondering, but Bakugo is far too aggressive for a word like wondering to ever really apply. But he asks Deku if, they were both huge All Might fans, so why did All Might pick Deku? Was there something wrong in his admiration? And I like how the show highlights that, their admiration for All Might was not the same thing. And it doesn't condemn either one of them. But Bakugo's admiration for All Might was based on how cool All Might is. He's so badass, he beats the shit out of villains. And Deku, it was, being based in his saving people. And we see, and it comes up again when All Might finally shows up towards the end of the episode, that very much kind of colors how they view heroism. Bakugo wants to be the best, and he wants to be cool, and he wants to be the one that everyone looks up to, and Deku wants to help people. And of course, as we find out later on, All Might comes in and says that both of those are necessary, save people to win, and win in order to save people, which is kind of a great little summation of these two characters and what they need in order to advance. Because Deku wants to be the best as a concept, but doesn't really have the drive to really stand above everyone else. He's very humble. Where Bakugo wants to be the best, but he doesn't really have that drive to save people. And learning from each other, I feel like they're definitely going to grow to become better heroes. And I feel like that's something that really their relationship, for as messy as it is, they started on a really shitty ground, and they're slowly making their way up into a decent relationship now. It's honestly, it's so good. There's so many highlights of the show that I hesitate to call it a highlight of the show, but Christ, it's so good. And All Might does state at the end of the episode, I swear I'll get to the fight proper in a minute, there's just so much to talk about just in this first bit. All Might does bring up later, or as they're leaving Ground Beta, that this is the moment they finally become true rivals, instead of just their weird, little bully-victim relationship with a bit of, mutual respect, even if Bakugo is very hesitant to admit any kind of mutual respect for Deku. But then they start fighting, and Bakugo has the moment that I have seen from manga fans for eons at this point, ever since it happened in the manga, I imagine. With Bakugo, he starts out, with his anxiety, he starts off screaming about, the guy who was always behind me is now in front of me, and I don't know how to handle that. And then all of a sudden, he just switches. Why am I the one that caused All Might to disappear? I don't know. I forget what the word is. To leave. To lose his powers. And I just love how, I don't think they're the same place. I don't think he doesn't have anxieties about Deku getting stronger. I think that they're just two very different anxieties, one in his own strength and one in his own weakness, I guess. But they're blending together in a very believable way, even if it's like practically nonsensical. There really is not much of a connection between Deku getting stronger than him and his seeing himself as the reason of All Might's downfall. Like maybe both in the view that he's weak, but like Razorhead by the end seems to imply, no, it's All Might who says he has an inferiority complex. But yeah. So I do love that. It just feels so very, very human. Just, oh, it's so good. There's so much about this fight that's so good. And then just everything about the fight is super phenomenal. As Deku kind of works out how he feels towards Bakugo, both in, he recognizes Bakugo has kind of been an ass, but he's also what he's aspired to be. He's always wished he was that cool, and that's why he stuck around Bakugo throughout their entire childhood, even as Bakugo was just bullying him mercilessly for like a decade. And even beyond that, the fight is phenomenal on a pure adrenaline level. It's just intense. I couldn't turn my eyes away from the screen. It was such a great fucking fight. This is the shit Shonen needs to get. I have not felt this great about a fight since I don't fucking remember when. I genuinely can't think of a fight that's gotten me this fucking pumped. Oh, it's so good. Like, I'm sure if I thought about it over the years and years of shonen manga I've consumed, I might find something. Luffy versus Arlong, maybe? I don't know. It's just such a good fight. It's so fucking good. Admittedly, I'm sure there are plenty of One Piece fights going later, but I'm currently on the Drum Island arc, so, like, there's a lot of One Piece that I have not gotten to. But, like, fuck, this fight's so good. I do have the entire fight. I think I have one gripe, and it's a gripe that kind of carried on from an earlier part of the story, but it's made a bit more sense then. Deku's, I had assumed that Deku's mention of full cowling being at 5% was a bit of an estimation. You know, it's like, it feels like it's around 5% of his usual strength. But then he feels that his body is going up from 5% to exactly 8%. And that's not how people think. People can't tell I get him being able to tell that he's stronger, but he says 8% with such confidence that I feel like he has to somehow inherently know that he's at exactly 8% of his maximum power, and that's just kind of weird. I don't know. I didn't quite buy that. Other than that, everything is perfect. And I just love this idea. Deku, he mentions that he sees Bakugo as his, like, avatar of victory. Even with, he mentions, that when Bakugo gets, like, stressed or something, he starts to insult people more. And we actually kind of see, when Deku says that Bakugo is his avatar of victory, warts and all, we actually see Deku kind of embody that negativeness. Not, like, to the extent that Bakugo does on a bad day, but, like, when Bakugo goes at him and Deku, like, rises up, the first thing he shouts is, like, an insult. Is that the best you got? I think is what he says. Like, that's just a really great bit. It's just the web of these two characters is so interesting. It would be so easy for a show to be like, oh, Bakugo is a bully, therefore he's irredeemable, therefore he becomes a villain. But the show has been, first of all, so adamant on Bakugo not being a villain. And sure, the show has had several genuinely awful humans as heroes, like just look at Endeavor. But it goes so far to show that he is not Endeavor. He's not just mercilessly cruel. He's just dealing with a lot of shit, and he doesn't really know how to handle puberty, I guess is the best way to put it. So many emotions in his mind that he just does not know how to handle. And I just love that about him. But then the two of them go at each other for one final hit, and Deku decides to, like, it looks like he's about to use another kick, but he goes for a punch because his arms can kind of handle it, and he goes to, like, punch Bakugo, and the music cuts out, and we see All Might, it's your turn now, and the music comes back in, and it swells, and I'm like crying. It's just the music in that scene was so fucking good. I'm like, oh, I'm getting like cold sweats just remembering how fucking incredible that scene was. But either way, as Bakugo is nearly defeated, he still manages to like get Deku into a hole and slams him down with the explosions quirk, and wins the fight. Bakugo wins. That's how it ends. And just it's just such a fist pumping fight. Even if the bad guy wins the fight, you're still like edge of your seat. Holy shit! I don't even have the words to describe how great this fight is. Shit. It's so good. Yeah. And then the fight ends, and All Might shows up, and Bakugo, after a bit of the conversation, Bakugo admits for the first time in the entire series that he is weak. He pretty much says it. He says that, like, why wasn't he strong enough when he talks about, why did All Might have to give up his powers for him? But he avoids using the word weak to describe himself. And I think there's a big power in specifically using the word weak instead of just, like, ignoring it or not using any word or whatever. He's specifically like, yes, I am a weak person. And that's just that shows growth and maturity far beyond I wasn't strong enough. He's admitting that he is not just strong but not quite strong enough. He's just not strong. And like that's just a great character beat for him. And more on great Bakugo character beats, because there were a lot this episode. This episode was still fucking amazing. Bakugo, we like to joke about Bakugo as just being this super impulsive, doesn't think about anything, just acts, super immature kind of person. But he's really genuinely mature, when All Might, Bakugo, not even before he's asked if I recall, is like, yeah, I'll keep this secret. There's, I gotta keep this secret. That's just kind of obvious. There's no way I can let everyone know that your power is being transferred to Deku. And that's just, like, great on him. As they're going back, we definitely see that they have matured, but it's also great to see at the end of that whole bit, the whole, like, ground beta scene, that they are still very much human. Very, not just human, they're very much high schoolers. Bakugo calls back to Deku's lines way back in Season 1 about making his quirk his own, and Bakugo says, I'm gonna make everything my own and surpass you. And then Deku is like, well, then I'm gonna surpass you still. And they're just like, no, I'll surpass you. It's such a childish moment that really reminds me, oh yeah, you guys are 15. That's great. They go back, and Aizawa is not pleased because he was informed of all this by the robot, but All Might was like, nah, I'll handle this. This is all my fault. But when Aizawa gets back, All Might gets Aizawa to stop short of, I'm assuming he was going to expel them, because, like, they fucked up big time. But Aizawa is like, alright, which of you hit first? And Bakugo, to his intense maturity, was like, me, I did it. And so, more on Bakugo being mature. And so Aizawa punishes Bakugo with an extra day of house arrest. Midoriya has 3 days, Bakugo has 4. And that's kind of, for the most part, where the episode ends. We have a quick post-credit scene of the gang going to the opening ceremony for the second semester, as Bakugo and Deku are left to clean the dorms, which is part of their punishment. And while that happens, Deku asked Bakugo how his shoot style was. And Bakugo, once again, being more mature than we ever give him credit for, answers genuinely. And, like, genuinely helps Deku get better. which is something he would not have done at the beginning of the episode. He would have never helped Deku, and now he's like, he acknowledges Deku as a genuine rival, and he wants Deku to get better so that he can get better in turn, and that says wonders about the kind of person Bakugo has become. Like, just in the course of this episode, Bakugo is almost a completely new person, and that's incredible to see. So this episode, fucking amazing. Before we get in, I have a couple comments about, before I wrap up this video, I have a couple comments about the next time preview. First of all, I can't believe it's been 3 seasons, and it's only been a semester. Like, this whole season was summer break. Like, wow. This is just wild. That's just more of a joke thing. A more serious thing. So, MHA has definitely been a series that's, like, always been kind of in tune with shonen as a concept, I guess, in a way. Like, not full-on Medaka Box levels of shonen acknowledgement. There's my obscure late-aughts reference for the day. But, like, it's something that's aware of, Bakugo's role as the Sasuke, and it's kind of a not quite a subversion of the Sasuke, but I'd say it's a subversion of the Sasuke. He's the rage-filled rival with a deep rivalry with the hero, but unlike Sasuke, who joins Orochimaru and then joins the Akatsuki, Bakugo says no. He's full of rage and hate and all, but he's going to use it for good. And so when we're introduced in the next time preview to the big 3 of MHA, there's a part of me that's wondering, are they going to end up some kind of metaphor for, the big 3 of Shonen Jump, Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach, and the kind of pressure that MHA, being represented by Class 1A, to eventually rise above them? Is that going to be a metaphor at play here? The idea of rising up above whoever's on top is definitely a big thing of Shonen, and naming them the big 3 feels a bit too much like a callback to Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the episode. That's probably, I'm sure someone who's read the next arc in the manga can be like, no, this has nothing to do with Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach. Get out of here. But, like, all in all, I just want to say, MHA has fucking outdone itself. And I feel like it's something to be said at least 2 or 3 times this season. In the case of the Sports Festival, 2 episodes in a row, with Bakugo versus Uraraka and Deku versus Todoroki. But, like, this episode is practically perfect. There's really nothing I think is bad about this episode. It's outstanding. It's not like there's nothing bad about it. It's not the best good in the world, I don't think. That I probably have to give to, I don't know, the final Naruto Sasuke fight. That's my best alternative. There's just something about shonen rival rematches that really gets my blood going. But yeah, this was a fucking phenomenal episode. I'll wait a little while before I say best in the series, but it's up there. Yeah. It's amazing. And I've been repeating that for the past 18 minutes and 18 seconds, so I'm going to leave the video off here. Hope you all enjoyed the episode and the video as much as I did. Hope you all enjoy, and if you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe or do that straw poll in the description, or, do whatever the fuck you want. I don't really care. I'm not the boss of you. And as always, people, keep kicking ass, and I'll see you in the future. Bye.